And Rubina, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Brandon. And hi, everybody. I'm Rubina. I'm a learning designer based in New Delhi, in India, where it's 9:30 in the night for me. So please bear with me if you see a yawn or two coming in during the session. I'm trying my best to not let that happen, but please bear with me. Um, so I would love for this session to be as interactive as possible. It's not a presentation where I'm just talking about my work, but for this to be a sort of community harvesting of what practices and what challenges and what strategies are folks using um, in inclusive design in your respective spaces. Uh, I'll just share a little bit about me before we start because I'm not from academia in the US like a lot of folks in the conference here. I had the pleasure of being at the last one, the last ELCC as well, and it's been such a joy to come here again and talk about the practice that I have, which is largely based on trauma-informed and inclusive learning design, online learning, e-learning, self-paced, facilitated, hybrid learning experiences. I'm also a trainer and facilitator doing in-person stuff in India and in other parts of the world as well. But I specialize in designing for the global majority, so largely folks from the continents of Africa and Asia. And I work with nonprofits largely. So these are adults who are practitioners working to end violence against women, against children, or different forms of violence. And they're adult learners who are working professionals. I specialize in designing courses for them. I'm also an advisor at a community project called the Inclusive Design Jam that tries to bring folks practicing inclusive design together, and the Design Justice Network's India node. And there, I've been around with the DJN as well for a bit. But that's a bit about me, and that's hopefully the most that I'm going to talk at a stretch. And I'd love to hear now from all of you if you'd like to use an emoji reaction or put an emoji in the chat box. But really looking at what brings you here to this session today. So, what kind of challenges do you face when you're designing or attempting to design inclusive learning experiences in your respective spaces? So, any emoji, anything that comes to your mind. I've put some examples on the slide, but feel free to share anything that comes to mind for you. So what kind of challenges do you face, or how do those challenges make you feel? If you'd like to unmute and share, that's also great. But feel free to just put something in the chat or one of the emoji reactions if you're fluent with Zoom emojis. You have a brick from Brandon. I feel that. Pushback from instructors from Luke. Thank you. I can't imagine that can be really tough as well. A couple of very interesting emojis from Michael Keshia. Please, I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. Um, Buy-in from faculty that you're designing with, from Jackie, from Dr. Karen, like raising one eyebrow emoji. I love that. So thank you so much for for bringing those emotions in and what that really feels like when you're in the middle of trying to do all of this. I'm just going to now just create a little quick breakout room group in pairs so that you have a moment to talk about just a time that you felt left out or you felt excluded in a learning experience that you've had. So not as an instructor, not as a manager, not in an institution, but as a learner. Just sort of connecting back to what that feels like and how do we really begin to address that as we go through the conversation today. So I'm going to just stop sharing my screen and then quickly divide folks up into pairs. So Luke's requested they're in a shared space and can't speak. Luke, can I put you in a group with 3 people? Perhaps you can add in the chat box and see if that works for you. Let me just give me a couple of minutes to set up the rooms, please. Okay, opening the rooms, and you will have 5 minutes uh, to just have these quick conversations with each other. See you in 5. Hi, Susan, welcome. We were just doing a quick breakout group in pairs to get to know folks a little bit better. Are you around and comfortable to be on the mic? Should I put you in a group?
I don't think so right now. I'm kind of cruising.
Okay, sounds good. I'll just, you can stay in the main room and we'll have folks coming back in 5-ish minutes.
Thank you.
Hi, Carolyn. All okay with your room?
Yeah, I'm the only person in my room.
Oh, I'm sorry about
Yeah.
that. I think
No, I think the
you-
other person left. They like came and then they were
Yeah.
gone. So
yeah, I'll always lose folks when I open a breakout, but that's okay.
yeah, I know.
Do you mind if I put you in another room so you can
No, go ahead.
have a quick
Thank you.
chat with somebody?
Sure.
Okay. You should get an invite for room 2 now. Brandon, could I request your help for breakout groups in the second round?
Absolutely.
So I'd like, depending on how many people there are, just groups of 4 or 5 each. So maybe
Okay.
I think given the number of folks right now, it's like 2 groups.
Okay.
And just like, but don't put a timer on the groups.
Okay.
So I'll want to move the folks around after 10 minutes. So it's
Okay.
like a World Cafe kind of session that they'll all be answering one question, and then I move 2 people, like exchange 2 people in the groups.
Okay.
And then I can take care of the exchange. So once they're in the group, I have no problem. But if you can just set them up first, 4 or 5 each, that would be great.
No problem at all.
Thank you so much. Just one last request, Brandon. I've put a link in the chat box to a shared Google document.
Okay.
Maybe in about 5 to 7 minutes, I'll just request if you can share that again in the chat so everyone has it. It's
Yep.
a little hard for me to present and paste in
And
the
do chat.
chat.
I understand the back channel, so no problem at all.
Thank you. Welcome back, folks. Just waiting a few more seconds as everyone else comes back as well. Okay, we're all here. Glad I caught you laughing, Michael. I hope that was uh, a good breakout group for everybody.
Yes.
Great. So thank you so much for engaging with that. And I I think building on what you felt and what experiences you have and the emojis that everybody put in, just want to get a sense from folks of what brings you here. Like, what are you hoping from this session? What would help you in, or what are your expectations from the 50 minutes that we have today? If you feel like unmuting, sharing, welcome. Chat box is welcome.
So this is Dr. Komos. I think the title intrigued me of navigating challenges, with the opportunities for learning for students and I teach now primarily in the online environment.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. Would anyone else like to share? See something pop up in the chat. Designing an inclusive curriculum. Thank you for sharing that, Dr. Karen.
Yeah,
Rudy, go ahead.
This is Rudy Sanchez, he, him, his. I was intrigued by the element of inclusivity because I think that, and we were talking about it in our breakout room, in that, our brains are biologically wired for that connection. Am I feeling safe? Am I feeling, listened to? Do I have a voice? And so so I think that the topic of your talk of inclusivity, I think really speaks to kind of the biological need that we have as human beings to really do a good job at what we do, right? And pay attention to those things. So thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Rudy. And I love that I heard the word safe while you were speaking. So how do we make folks feel safe? How do we create a space where people feel included, and strategies? I'm also reading now from the chat that Melissa and Jackie and others have shared that strategies for reaching all learners and trying to create a space where everyone feels heard and welcome, and that creates the most conducive environment for folks to learn. Carolyn's also brought up a very needed point of being inclusive across socioeconomic groups. So that's also something that we will be talking about today. And I think, like all of you rightly said, these are that's the basis of the conversation today, that also learning from all of you. So what challenges do you have and what strategies? Like, there's a lot of very interesting folks in this room. So I'm sure all of you in different aspects have ways that you've imbibed in your learning, in your designing work, that helps to make learning experiences more inclusive. So sort of bringing all of that community knowledge into one place and documenting it as well, so others can also benefit from it. So hoping to do all of that today. It's a tough ask with the time, but we'll try our best. One more question, and just diving into, I think a little bit of this came in the chat earlier, of what does one really mean when one says inclusion? So when you say, Rudy, I'll come back to you saying something like creating a safe space, creating a space where folks feel heard. What Jackie said, with space where strategies that help all learners come together and learn together, or people from different socioeconomic groups coming together. So any other thoughts or reflections of what do you mean when you say inclusion, or wanting to create something that is inclusive? In chat box, unmute and speak anything that works for you. Thank you, Rudy. Creating a safe space where all learners feel included. Absolutely. Dr. Karen, including all course participants in discussions and activities. So making sure all, and I love that you capitalize it. I think all really means all, that how do we really bring all participants into these learning spaces. And as folks are adding to the chat, I'll also add a little bit about what my learnings have been with inclusive design and trying to create something that is as accessible as possible. So for me, inclusion is a pretty big thing, but I try to condense it down to 3 key areas. I think firstly, it has to be intentional. It has to be built into the work that you're doing. It has to become a habit that, yes, I'll check for contrast. I'll check for the basics that you can, color contrast, making sure things are accessible for folks with color blindness, things are screen reader friendly. There's clear instructions for people on who may be on the spectrum or may have intellectual disabilities, having transcripts available for people who have either visual disabilities or people with lower bandwidth. So a lot of the spaces where I work in, internet connection sucks. If I work with colleagues in Africa, it's 9 times out of 10 we're struggling with internet connectivity. So making sure that it's not just that coming to the second bit, that inclusion is also seen from an intersectional lens, that it goes beyond accessibility for people with disabilities. It's also, I think, as somebody had pointed out, about socioeconomic factors, about cultural and social sensitivities. If I'm creating a course where it's just all examples are from the US and the global north, but the course is catering to folks in the global south, that's not necessarily going to be relatable and make others feel welcome. And then also looking at it from an institutional point of view, I think in the keynote address as well, there was some conversation about looking at things systemically, that are we really addressing those gaps in the structures and the policies and the practices that we have at our respective institutions. I'm also just taking a minute to go through the chat. I think Brandon's just mentioned that not just inclusion, but belonging. Absolutely. Every student should feel like they belong in your course or your discipline or your institution. Also looking at the need for connection, activities that encourage participation and engagement, providing access to people across different backgrounds and identities, absolutely. Dr. Michael, I love that you've said it's inviting students into the course, that it's not just that you have to be here and you're there by default, but really feeling invited and feeling welcome. Caroline also raising very good points about making it mobile friendly, less data bandwidth to work in developing communities or where internet is difficult to access. So absolutely, all of these things and much more. So thank you so much for sharing your perspectives and for bringing that into the conversation. I'm going to now request, because like you all seem to be very aware of what inclusion means, and I'm sure you all have a lot of challenges that you may be facing in your respective contexts. The large chunk of the session today is going to be through a World Cafe format. I'm going to request Brandon to help us set up 2 breakout rooms, and we'll do 2 rounds. So for the first 10 minutes of that breakout group, I'd request you to answer the first question about what challenges do you face when you're trying to design inclusive learning environments or inclusive courses within your respective context. And at the 10-minute mark, we'll switch 2 people out from each group. So you'll exchange groups. Since there's few of us, we'll only have 2 groups. So the folks who go to the second group, then all of you will continue to look at what strategies have you used, or you perhaps could use, or ideas that you have to try and address the challenges that the group had come up with in the first round. So building on each other's ideas. And for to support with note taking, I'm also going to request Brandon to add a link in the chat to a shared Google document to take notes. And you're welcome to add in your thoughts here as you're working with your group, and note any, and also build on each other's ideas, so that we can keep that conversation going even after the session today. Any questions from anybody? Any need for clarification? If we're all set, then I would request Brandon, please open up the breakout groups. 10 minutes for the first round and then another 10 minutes for round 2. So I'll see you all in about 20 minutes.
All right, opening the rooms now.
Thank you.
Oh, I do have a question. After the first 10 minutes, are we gonna come back to the room and then put us in different rooms or?
I'll just switch out 2 people from one room to the next.
Oh, okay. You'll just do
You
that on the back
you
end?
keep so like you do a World Cafe in a conference, you'd keep sitting at your table. So trying to recreate that in some ways. You stay in your breakout room and we'll just switch 2 people. I'll send out a message so that you know we're about to switch
Cool.
and folks can wrap up their thoughts. See you all. Thank you, Brandon.
Of course. Took an extra second. I did plan next session, and it decided that no, we're not going to open those rooms. Never mind. So,
That's okay. We're all good. Thank you so much.
of course.
Hi, Adele, welcome.
Hi, I'm so sorry. I was listening in another session, but I was hoping to get a little bit of this as well. How
All
much longer
good.
they're going to be in the breakout rooms?
So we have another 15 minutes in the breakout groups. That's like the main part of the session today. So if you want, I can
Okay.
put you in a group and you can join them. That shouldn't be an issue.
No, it's okay. I'll return to the other session because I would have missed significant conversations already. Okay,
Okay,
thank
no
you.
worries. You can catch up with the notes. I'll put those with the slides in the Discord.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Let me.
Hi, Stephanie. So, folks are in breakout groups. We're just discussing the challenges people have in inclusive learning design. Would you like to join one of the groups?
Yeah, if it's not too late. Sorry, I had a conflicting meeting.
It should be okay. I think they'll help you catch up. I'll just put you in one.
Okay, thank you.
You should see a pop-up now. Hi, welcome back, everyone. It was great to see the notes coming together as you all were having those conversations. Would anyone like to share how was the conversation in your group in round one or round two? Any reflections? Maybe anything that stood out for you in terms of the challenges or the strategies?
So I'll say a few words because in the two groups I was in, there were instructional designers. And what struck me is the challenge of designing the curriculum, designing the course, and what needs to be included from the designer or curriculum person to make the course exciting, challenging, something students can't wait to get to for next week. And a couple of the people I talked with said, in some cases, they also connect with the faculty member to say, what have you done? What has helped? And then are there opportunities to think about what might be included in the course design that may help excitement, enthusiasm, no place I'd rather be than right there, et cetera, et cetera.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Dr. Comas. Rudy, I saw that you unmuted as well. Would you like to share your reflections?
Sure. Yeah, I just thought it was awesome. You know, we talked about, someone in the group mentioned universal design, but from the beginning. So if you're, creating something new from the beginning, and then also I was just very excited about, we started talking about the different learning styles. And I think that's another way of connecting to all our students, and as instructors or trainers, if we're aware of the, tactile learner, the visual learner, the different learners, then we can better flex for our students, and not just, it's not just about me, the trainer, it's about my class, it's about my students. So if I'm able to flex, but also teaching those styles to our students so that our students can also learn to start flexing, and that's where the real learning happens. So thank you. That was fun.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Rudy. And also sharing with folks. So we have a couple of minutes left. What I've done is at the end of that same shared document, I've put a list of resources that have helped me learn inclusive design, and I keep going back to them. So Rudy, you mentioned universal design. So there's a universal design for learning, like an entire website with a lot of resources, plus a very nice course on Coursera. If you're new to it, I think that's the best way. That's what really helped me, like taking that the first time. So there's a bunch of things there that might be useful in your work in different ways of incorporating inclusive design practices. But I think, like you said, it has to be there from the beginning. It has to be intentional and there front and center. We just have a minute, but I want to bring up something that I saw in the notes, which was around co-designing. So bringing students in to design something together, or bringing their perspectives in. So if somebody in one of the groups would just like to speak to that for a minute. If not, that's okay. That's something that's my go-to, to try and co-design something, because I may not necessarily know what, like very recently I was doing a session which had a deaf person from Tanzania who joined us, and she helped us understand like Tanzanian sign language interpretation and finding the right person to do it. So working together with her to be able to design something that's accessible for her was really the only way we could have done it. So I think that's something that really spoke to me in the notes as well. But yeah, thank you so much, everybody. We're at time. Thank you for your engagement and for sharing all your knowledge and helping us start to build this community repository. please keep referring to this document. I'll keep it open. You can keep adding to it. Please keep referring to the resources. And there's also a little box there. If you'd like to stay connected with each other, feel free to put in your contacts there. And we'll see you around in ELCC. I hope you all have a good conference for the next couple of days. Thank you all.